basically the reason I'm here is because I believe all you white Americans owe me not only reparations, but also owe me for being in your country and making it better and doing the jobs that you guys don't even want to do because you're too busy watching Instagram. And yeah, I might have good English, but you know, I took a couple Inglés sin Barrera classes. So if I could just say a message, I'd ask Trump, please lower the tariffs. I'm trying to sell fentanyl out here, but it's kind of hard. I have no way to make it. And these tariffs are freaking killing me, dude. So please help me out. Cash App, Mando IRL. Thank you.
Sir.
Our next speaker is Mercedes Hall.
I'm so fly, I'm aligned with the planes. My grind so refined, I got no time for no games. Ask yourself why would I make time for you lames? At all costs, cause I'm a boss. I'll break them off, yeah, gotta break them off.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Prime Time with Alex Stein. I'm your host, Alejandro Stein, and we have an incredible show planned for you chat rats this evening. We have the legend of all TV doctors. I mean, he is probably the most famous TV doctor since Doogie Howser, and Doogie Howser was gay and Dr. Drew straight, so he is the most famous straight doctor in the history of television. The one, the only Dr. Drew Pinsky will be joining us shortly. But what you just saw, before we get to the doctor, was Armando Rodriguez. Now, Armando Rodriguez was just at a Coppell City Council meeting talking about his urgent need for reparations from the white community because he is an illegal immigrant. Well, we want to help the illegals here at the Blimp, here at Primetime with Alex Stein. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have that Armando come on set next Tuesday, and he's struggling. He is a guy that sleeps from couch to couch, place to place, shelter to shelter, and he lives a very challenging life where he doesn't have a lot of the simple pleasures that you take for granted. Armando does not have. And we're going to give him the chance to come on this show and potentially, through your support, through the lovely and gracious chat rat community, we're going to see if we can help support him for another week or two to make him go to these meetings and do a little razzle-dazzle and call out these council members for, you know, I guess their insubordination when it comes to actually doing the work their constituents voted them to do. So if you guys are interested in more of that type of content, be on the lookout, because this weekend we're going to go and film some more stuff with Armando, and then on Tuesday you guys are going to be able to be the judge when we put you to the test whether or not Armando gets to stay in a 2-star motel in the DFW area. He is currently staying at a motel with such a low rating that on Priceline it doesn't even say. You know, on a third-party app it doesn't even say, because people would be so horrified to book it if they knew that it was under 4 stars. So currently he is literally at the lowest rated hotel in the Metroplex. So if you guys want to see him go and challenge some more city council members, which I sure as heck do, I want to bring them around and kind of, you know, call out some of these people with a fearless guy that weighs 400 pounds. I don't know why that doesn't sound like a good idea. It sounds like a hell of an idea to me. And you guys can make that even more possible with your support. So before we bring on our guest, I have to tell you, in this day and age, we have technological issues. Right now we're having a little tech issue with Dr. Drew, but he is on standby. He's going to be here any minute. And that's what happens when you do a live show like this. But I'll tell you this much. We're going to talk about Joe Biden. We're going to talk about, obviously, the cancer diagnosis. But what I'm really excited for is I'm really excited to go into, I guess, Dr. Drew's career. I mean, I know that he gets these questions asked a lot, but we're going to ask a little bit about Loveline, a little bit about Teen Mom, a little bit about Celebrity Rehab, and then obviously about some of the scrutiny that he's faced since he changed he changed his position on COVID and has been very outspoken. I really want to applaud him for that. So kind of just full circle interview. We're very excited to talk to him. He will be here in a minute. But you know what I do want to talk about? I want to talk about Blaze TV, because I want to take a moment to talk about where we are right now, because let's be honest, Jimmy, are you going to do the thing?
We just got his audio, so we're setting him up.
We got it? We got it? All right. Well, should we just do this ad real quick? The winning ad?
Give us a minute.
Well, let's do the winning ad real quick. Can you scroll that and get that out of the way before the doctor comes on? All right, no, we can't. I should know it by heart. But Jimmy has to. You want to scroll the ad? All right, guys. All right, I want to take a moment to talk about where we are right now because let's be honest, conservatives are winning. The movement is gaining ground. People are waking up. The narrative is cracking. And the momentum is finally shifting, but the fight's not over. It's not even close because at Blaze TV, we've built a home for some of the strongest, smartest voices in conservative media, people who tell it like it is, ask the tough questions that mainstream media won't touch, and aren't afraid to challenge the narrative. When you subscribe to Blaze TV, you're not just watching content, guys. You're supporting a movement. You're backing creators who think for themselves, speak boldly, and refuse to be silenced by big tech or the corporate media. You're supporting investigative journalism that exposes corruption and original documentaries that shine a light on the deep state. And right now, you can try Blaze TV for just 99 cents for your first 30 days when you use my promo code PRIMETIME99 at checkout. That's an entire month of uncensored insanity for less than $1. So if you're ready to keep winning and shop your values and make sure that we don't lose the ground we've gained, go to blazetv.com/Alex and subscribe today. That's blazetv.com/Alex. The promo code is PRIMETIME99. And try Blaze TV for only 99 cents. Blaze TV, unfiltered, unafraid, on demand. All right, are we ready for the doctor? Not yet. Okay, all right, we're going to get him on here. Shortly, we will be there. What is the chat saying? I see you guys do the chat rats. Oh, you guys need to hit the like button. And you guys are trying to pre-vote if Mando should stay or not. I'd like to see whether or not you guys think. I see Morgan in the chat. I'm really frustrated with the chat rats. I don't think that when the show starts, enough of you guys are sharing the link. I mean, I really appreciate you guys watching, but we need you guys to help support it when we're live to actually go out there and get the message across to the other people that aren't watching the show. So I know it's just your job to watch a show. It's not your job to just share the show. I get it. That's your first responsibility, to just watch. But at the same time, it helps if you guys tell people to share it so we can get more people in the chat so we can get things really cooking with gasoline, as they say. But that seems like a health violation to actually cook the gasoline. That doesn't seem safe. All right, but I see Morgan in the chat. Thank you so much, Morgan. Oh, now there's little crowns if you chat the most. That's very interesting. Oh, and I see Scott Starboard. There's a little drama with Bubba the Love Sponge. You know, I know this week I didn't go on my regular scheduled Bubba the Love Sponge appearance yesterday morning, and a lot of people are messaging me about it. And I just want to say that there is a little drama at Bubba Army with Primetime with Alex Stein, because of some of my actions against John Morgan and some of my actions after and some of the words that were said. So I just want to say that I'm not mad at Bubba. I don't think Bubba's mad at me, but right now there's just a little heat, and hopefully I can mend the fences. I sent a nice little gift. I don't know how long it's going to take for Bubba to get it, but I think the gift will smooth things over. But yeah, so I might not be going on Bubba's show for the next little while. So if you guys are watching this and you're Bubba Army and you're in the chat, you might not see me for a couple of weeks. So make sure to tell Bubba that you miss me. And we miss Bubba Army. And yeah, Scott, I see you saying no. There was a little drama. We're just going to kind of kick the can down the road and see what happens with that. But guys, I really want you guys to vote if Mando should stay or not. You guys see it in the chat. We're already, with just the first minute video that we watched, we're at 59% yes, 41% no. And I just want to applaud the people that are saying yes, because those people are all about support and helping. The people that are saying no, you guys are the haters. You guys are the ones that don't want to see people succeed. All I want to do is see other people win. I want to win, but I want other people to win too. It's not fun to be the only one winning. And that's the problem, is that a lot of these people, after COVID and during COVID, they like to see other people losing because they're losing. So don't be a loser. We got to support other people. We got to lift people up. And I want to see you in the chat say yes, because we need Mando to get into at least a 3-star rated hotel with a free breakfast. I would like to upgrade him to, if that would be possible. But we're going to need your high vibrational energy to make that happen, because we're stuck in this negative vortex of low vibrational energy, constantly complaining about the bad things that are happening in our lives. And I'll tell you something, when we constantly say these negative thoughts, we manifest these negative things in our life. And then when you manifest it, it becomes a reality. So I try to challenge myself to not manifest the bad things. I try to manifest the good things. So what I'm going to manifest is I'm going to manifest a new life for Armando Rodriguez. A life where he's not struggling. A life where he can go out and pay his bills and be, not a burden on society, but to help society, to lift up society instead of being a plague. So you can help make that happen. That's right, you, the chat rats that are watching tonight. So I'm going to give you the power. I'm going to let you decide, all right? And some of you guys right now in the chat, I want to see some love. Oh, we already got a super chat. Thank you, GFV. $1.99. No, you are the best, GFV. We really appreciate the super chats. We're about to have the doctor on. I'm sure that the super chats will be flowing. If you guys send an expensive enough super chat, I will ask the doctor. But, you know, if you really think about it, that's probably cheaper to send us a super chat for $40 than going to a real damn doctor in this day and age. Even with insurance and the co-pays, you know, it's costing you an arm and a leg to get your arm and leg fixed. And it doesn't make sense. You're literally paying an arm and a leg to get your arm and a leg fixed. How are we going to survive cutting off your left leg to fix your right one? I don't think it is a very possible outcome to survive when you got that sort of proposition, trading one, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I'm sick of doing that. So hopefully you guys can get the medical information that you need for a very low price of $45 tonight during the Super Chat session of the show. But before we get to the Super Chat session of the show, we got to talk about a little bit what's going on in the news right now. You know, everybody is kind of mad about the... Well, real quick, before we get in the news, we got to talk something about the Dabbleverse drama. About last night, everybody's on Joey C for his great performance. But I got a bunch of text messages. I got a text message from Gino, got text messages from Pat Melton, got text messages from Pat Melton, Gino. I got a bunch of text messages. I can't remember all the other people talking about what a great job that Joey C did. So I think that we're on the Joey C redemption arc for the Dabbleverse. So I'm so happy that we made that happen last night. A lot of positive feedback on the show. So thank you guys for sending those positive messages. Now, before we get to the doctor, you know, from Angel Studios, the team behind the King of Kings and Homestead. Well, actually, we're not going to do the ad read. Jimmy's not running that. Well, we're going to sit here and we're going to wait. We're going to get Dr. Drew on the show very shortly. We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty situation here. But we can always go to the laptop and pull up some stuff because that's what we do. Well, actually, we can't pull up the laptop because we're probably trying to pull up a Zoom right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit here and I'm going to talk to you. And we're going to interact with the chat while we sit here and wait for Dr. Drew, his audio to work. But luckily, there's not too many people here anyway, so it doesn't really matter. We can just sit here and talk about whatever we want, theoretically. I mean, I'm going to sit here and kind of talk about Dr. Drew coming on and how much I love Teen Mom. And I am going through a situation similar to that because I recently had a kitten that had kittens. And so in cat year, she was a teen mom. Actually, she was basically like an infant mom, which is disgusting if you really think about it in human terms. But this is cat terms, so it was a little less gross. And that was challenging. And I know that her, as a young cat mom, doesn't want to do some of the older cat mom responsibilities. And I think that's a similar analogy to some of these teen moms like Farrah, Abraham, and Janelle. Because as soon as they were turned 17, they popped that baby out. All of them were smoking cigarettes. They were all vaping. They were all cheating on their boyfriends, you know, blasting other guys. Those women were disgusting. Yeah, no worries. All right, guys. From Angel Studios, the team behind the King of Kings, Homestead, and Sound of Freedom, comes The Last Rodeo. It's the action-packed story of a retired rodeo legend who straps back in for one last ride. Risking it all to save his grandson, he's the oldest rider to ever enter the arena. The movie's about healing broken bonds, facing the past, and proving that real courage means fighting for the people you love. It's raw, it's heartfelt, and it might just leave you tearing up under that cowboy hat. And let me tell you something, these movies from Angel Studios, what's so great about them is they're family friendly. You can take everybody there, and it has a good message at the end, but it's also, it was a little scary, a little gripping. You know, it's definitely not an adult themed movie, but it has some moments that will make even an adult feel on the edge of their seat. So guys, hurry up. Theaters are selling out fast. Order your tickets now. Go to angel.com/Alex to grab your seats for The Last Rodeo. In theaters right now, guys. Theaters right now. That's angel.com/Alex. And they definitely want your support. We love Angel Studios. Thank you so much for Angel Studios going out there and making different content than what Hollywood's making. Because let's be real, in Hollywood's content, they're putting like subversive pornography basically in it because they want to sexualize your children. They want to make these kids genderless, and they want you to feel some sort of hopelessness in society. And I think that's the problem, is that they want to hide the existence of God. So they use their media and they use their movies to try to make you feel like you're just this soulless vessel on a rock spinning through space and nothing matters. When in reality, there are studios like Angel Studios that are making movies with God not necessarily being the centerpiece to every single movie, but being the centerpiece of the production company. So you know that you're getting content that is not just soulless and fruitless, and it's not brain rot. So that's why we like Angel Studios. So thank you, Angel Studios, for making movies that are not 100% brain rot. sometimes, I'll be honest, my content, guilty of being a little brain rotty. I always try to have a message there, but when you see this last video that's been going kind of viral where I'm wearing the Trump hat, people are getting mad at me because I'm talking to the vet and he's saying a bunch of stupid stuff about turds and this and that. And I can see how that's not necessarily an adult conversation. It's not the most high quality or highly intelligent conversation, but we need that too. Sometimes we need conversations that aren't that intelligent, right? We can have both, and that's what you get with Primetime with Alex Stein. You're going to get those conversations that you're not going to see on your mainstream media or your mainstream news show, and that's what makes us different, and that is why you love me, and that's why I love you, chat rats. Also, for the chat rats that are in the Dallas area, June 29th, I'm going to be at Hyenas Comedy Club, Dallas. I'm going to be doing a run-through of my big performance at CLS in Tampa for Turning Point USA. But also before that, the Young Republicans of Florida, I will be the keynote speaker and the MC of their Freedom Gala on June 21st. So we have a lot of opportunities to come see the Pimp on a Blimp this summer. June 21st, Sarasota, Florida. June 29th, you're going to be able to see me in Dallas, Texas. And then July 9th through the 12th, you're going to be able to see me all week in Tampa, Florida. I hope you guys can make one of those events. I know you chat rats like to travel and see the Pimp on a Blimp, so if you guys make it, let me know, and I will make sure to give you some of my time and attention so we can hang out and, you know, have some fun.
So he should be on shortly.
No, sounds good. You know what? We got his microphone, so you guys know that he's here. We know that he's sitting here waiting. This happens in any live show. Sometimes you go live and technology doesn't want to cooperate. I'm guilty of this happening to me a lot because I'm not that technologically advanced. And I know Dr. Drew is technologically advanced, and we are technologically advanced, but sometimes you're over technologically advanced, believe it or not. Sometimes you got too much tech. And maybe that's an issue that's going on right now. We got too many wires crossed, as I say. But, you know, it's crazy that we're having trouble having a conversation with Dr. Drew, but in 1969, the Apollo space missions, are able to just have a conversation, no problem, with Richard Nixon in the White House. It's crazy how technology has degraded so far. There was a time where you could speak to a human being from 257,000 miles away. And now it's damn near impossible to do a Zoom call. So go figure. It doesn't make sense. But who built the pyramids? I'll tell you this much, not human beings. Stones that big without power tools, without any sort of modern technology. And you think they built those pyramids and were able to carve animals into stone without modern technology? Give me a break. So that's the problem, is that they're hiding about our existence, they're hiding about our history, they're hiding about our medicine, they're hiding about our food, they're hiding about what they're putting in the sky, they're hiding about everything in our lives. All right, with all that being said, we're just talking about people hiding, but this guy is not hiding. He's one of the most famous doctors in the entire world. He's really an icon in the television doctor space. I think he is the #1 TV doctor to ever exist. A personal hero of mine. We welcome on the one, the only, Dr. Drew Pinsky. Dr. Drew, how are you doing, sir?
It is my privilege to be here, but man, did I have technical problems getting in with you, and I'm still having them, I see. So here we go.
Well, that's why if you're an Indian doctor, this would have been much easier. You would have been able to solve this a lot easier, and that's but that was not a negative thing. That's a positive thing.
Racist would say.
Yeah, no, that's not racist at all. We're positive. We like Indians. That was a positive thing. Indians are great at tech. Okay, now I got to ask you, Dr. Drew. You went through a similar thing that Joe Biden is currently going through. I'm of a different, but real quick, I'm of a different opinion. If he did have cancer, I think it would be a national security risk to tell people, and I think that there would be a reason to hide it if a sitting president had a terminal illness like this. Now, what is your opinion, and how long do you think that they have known about this?
It's almost impossible to tell with any real accuracy because they've been so obscure, they've obfuscated so much, they've BS'd so much for so long about his medical care, about his neurological condition, about his cognitive state. I talked to Nicole Sapphire today at length, and we just both agreed it's almost impossible to tell what is going on here. But equally as impossible to believe is that a sitting president of the United States was not being monitored normally and normally screened for prostate cancer. That's insane. You know, my buddy Adam Carolla has a saying, stupid or liar. So one or the other, or both. They're either bad medical care or they're lying about what happened here. Now, in terms of it being a national security risk, I don't know what we're supposed to do with presidents that are impaired. Don't we deserve to know that somebody else is going to be in charge? There's a chain of command. Don't you want to know who's taking care of the country?
Well, of course I do, but it's like that's if we're not living in reality. We know in reality that there's a lot of stuff that they don't tell us of what's really going on. So that's why it's just, I wouldn't put it past him for the president to lie about something like that. But I heard you just recently on a podcast talk about this sort of cancer, this prostate cancer, that if we live to 100, we're automatically going to get it, and that we're all just cancerous, whatever, we're pre-prostate cancer victims currently?
Yeah, don't get too screwed up by that. Okay. It's just simply the case that if you were to biopsy 100-year-old men prostate, you'd find prostate cancer in the vast majority of them. But certain prostate cancers can be aggressive, like President Biden. This is what happens if you don't screen. The cancer gets away from you. And it is something that is highly treatable in today's world. We've got all kinds of treatment. I'm part of an organization called the Prostate Cancer Foundation. If you remember, you may be too young for this, but Michael Milken showed up with prostate cancer 30 years ago and was told he had 6 months to live. And he said that can't be possible. We've got to do a better job. And he has funded and sort of shepherded this organization ever since. And now we sort of sit at the hub of the spokes of the prostate cancer research world. And the fact is, there's a ton we can do. Everybody should be screened after the age of 50. Every president should be screened every year. And this may have happened. Maybe they did screen him, and maybe they're lying about the fact that they started treatment on him earlier. I don't know.
Well, Dr. Drew, and I know you've given a lot of prostate exams. Is that correct?
We don't do prostate exams. That is correct, but we don't even do them anymore. We do blood tests.
That's how
you
do
tell?
A simple blood. Well, but the reason why I ask that is because I'm not anti-gay. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, so I have a lot of gay pride. I just want to make that clear. I love the Cowboys, so obviously I'm not. But I'm afraid to go have a man do that to me, Dr. Drew. I'm not even kidding. I'm afraid to go get checked. I really am.
They're not going. First of all, how old are you?
I'm 38, but I don't like to talk about that. I'm an ageist.
Do you have a first-degree relative with prostate cancer?
Yeah, my grandfather had it.
Okay. How old was he when he got it? Do you know?
I think he was in his 60s, but he died from it. He died from it in the early 70s.
So you're going to want to start getting a blood test every year in your 40s. Not a digital rectal exam, a simple blood test. No one's going to put their finger inside of you. That's not going to happen. You don't need to do that. That's why, by the way, when they said Biden, we found a nodule. What? I found a nodule? How did you find a nodule? Were you doing digital rectal exams and not PSAs? Or did he have an MRI? Or when he had a CAT scan after his episode of COVID, did they see metastatic disease then? There's so many questions that they need to answer that they have not and have been. I mean, I do not believe that President of the United States should be subjected to the same HIPAA standards as the rest of us. Much like if I were to see somebody climbing into the flight deck of an airplane I'm on with 300 other people, and they look impaired to me, I'm obliged, in my opinion, to speak up about this and for us to know what the hell's going on. And that's exactly what the deal is here.
No, I agree with you. I do that for women pilots, and they're not even impaired. Okay.
I'm going to slow your roll, Alex. Wait a minute. So we have sexism, we have racism, we have homophobia. I think you've run the cycle now.
I think so. I think so. If there anyone, we haven't played the Kanye West song yet. Are we going to do the Kanye West? No, I'm kidding. Okay, Dr. Drew, you're so iconic, though, not just for your TV roles, not just Celebrity Rehab, but you've really carved out as the reunion. How did you carve out the job as kind of like the Teen Mom reunion, the Mob Wives reunion? I think that those instances are some of your best work, and I'm not saying that facetiously. Like, some of your work with Teen Mom is iconic. I'm not kidding when I say that. How did you carve out in that role, dealing with all the reality show deals like that?
I didn't carve. Nothing I've done has been a blueprint. It's always been an improvisation. I went from the beginning. I got on radio because I thought we needed to talk about AIDS at the time, and ever since then, people go, "Oh, we're going to do a TV show." I'm like, "Well, how do you do that? It sounds interesting. Let me see if I can make something good out of it." Teen Mom was no exception. When they came to me with that, I thought this is going to have an effect on teen pregnancy in this country. I know it, and it did. There have been 2 academic studies that have shown the higher the viewership of that show, the lower the teen pregnancy rate in that community. So I knew it. Teenagers learn from the consequences of their peers' behavior. I knew that's what would work. So when they came to me, I went, I will do that. And so that was that. Mob Wives, I requested.
Okay. See? That's how we asked. So that's how you got Mob Wives. You're just a fan of the show.
Because my wife and I are fans of the show, and I thought I could really do a good job with that. So I'd love to go in there and do that. And they brought me in.
Okay, but before we go to Mob Wives, though, I have to ask you, though, you had just legendary interactions with Farrah Abraham. Was she the most complicated of the teen moms, or was it Amber or Janelle? Those are the 3 that I kind of consider the top 3.
So you brought 3 of the more complicated situations, and I believe that is Farrah's stand-up premiere in New York City. She just did a big stand-up as a coming out into her new career path.
I like Farrah. Real quick, that's what I was just going to say. I'm not saying that you don't like him. Obviously, you treated him, you like him. But I'm saying I like all 3, even for their faults. Janelle, they all were very entertaining and all likable.
Be careful. Be careful. Okay. I didn't treat anybody.
Well, you know what I mean? Okay, excuse me. You're right.
A TV show in which we examined their lives carefully, and I used some of my skills to do that. But all of them, I had affection for all of them. I was invested in all of them. I spent a lot of time with all of them. Farrah, in particular, I had kind of I'd call it a sweet moment when she decided to leave the show, and she wanted to do pornography and didn't want to, and MTV wouldn't hear of it. And we met before she left. We did this on camera, and I said, Farrah, she was always extremely obstreperous and very difficult and objection, and she made my life miserable. But I understand. Look, she was struggling with a lot of stuff herself, and that's why I always look at these things. But when she was our last time together, I said, Farrah, I will really miss you. I really will. I have a deep affection for you. We've been through a lot. I'll miss you. And I saw her soften. It was really a moment where I'd never seen her sort of like kind of melt a little bit. And it was true. I have missed her. I have seen her a couple times since, and I wish her the best.
Well, that is definitely, interesting to kind of see her have that veneer go down, because she seems so mad. She would fight with her mom. She seems, pretty vicious. But I like Farrah. And, I'll be honest, when she did take that career choice and she did the pornography, I thought that was a career suicide, but it seems like it's not. She's still kicking, so good for her. Now, Dr. Drew, you had some of the most legendary people on your TV show, Celebrity Rehab, and we don't have to go through all of them, but my favorite of all of them is Tom Sizemore. Now, can you tell me a little bit about Tom Sizemore? At one point, he was an A-list actor. And he with Heidi Fleiss. I mean, I can go back and watch that today. It's still so relevant. So, can you tell us a little bit about Tom Sizemore?
Tom, I had treated once before, maybe 5 years or maybe even 10 years before Celebrity Rehab. And Bob Forrest, the guy with the hat and glasses, that was my assistant. He and I had great success treating Tom. We both loved him. There's something about Tom that it's hard not to love the guy. And we both were invested in his care, and we had a really good success with him. Unless he went away from us. As soon as he went out of our sort of sphere of influence, he would just, it would not go well. So the bottom line was, as long as we were with him and treating him and following him, he did well. When he was left to his own devices, he would kind of spiral a bit. I did have one extraordinary moment with him that, a lot of it you didn't see on camera, but some of it you did, where in Sober House, when he and Heidi were in Sober House together, Jen Jimenez was running the house, and this one night she kept calling me, and I thought something is really wrong. I couldn't get it out of her. She couldn't quite tell me what the problem was, but I knew something wasn't right. So I got in my car at 12 o'clock and I ran over there. And as I was driving up to the Sober House facility at the time in Hollywood Hills, there were sound people and cameramen diving over the side of the deck. It was just like pandemonium. And I heard what sounded like a bear loose, like somebody bellowing. And I thought, oh my God, I ran inside. And there was Tom Sizemore. Heidi pushed his buttons one too often, and he just went mad. He was like violent and throwing things. And I came in, I pulled him aside, I calmed everybody down, we got everything de-escalated. And the next day, he told me, he goes, "I'm so grateful you walked in. It's like a rescue operation. You came in, you contained me. I was not good. I was not in good shape." And I said, "I know. I was there." The other thing about Tom is, God, I remember he was doing so much stimulant that he damaged his memory, and he was really concerned about that because he realized he wouldn't be able to memorize lines and stuff. And he sat down one day and told, and they didn't really act out, but went through the entire monologue of Iago's from Shakespeare's Othello to show me how much better he was.
So when
And I
you're telling
thought,
me he went through Shakespeare, he had it memorized for you, and that's that. I mean, but that shows you that he has some sort of magical ability to do that. Because a normal person, even a
like
good
something, yeah,
actor,
something-
can't do that.
Yeah, some
you know?
God-given something. Yes, there was something about that guy that, and we all loved him, and to lose him was a terrible loss. It was just awful. Thankfully, I don't know what happened at the end. I don't think it was an addiction thing. I do think though it was all the years of addiction that finally got to him.
Well, Dr. Drew, we hear all the time fentanyl, and obviously we've had an opioid epidemic since the Sackler family, the OxyContin crisis, which was big during your show. But
Alex, stop you right there. The Sacklers were duplicitous, but that prescription opiate pandemic was perpetrated by my profession.
Yeah,
we did it. The Sacklers blew wind into the sails.
Wait, time out, though. Let me cut you off, though. Really, though, can't we blame the insurance companies for making it so hard that doctors have to sell these? They had to run these pill mills. Isn't it a little bit on our healthcare system, or you think it's all on the doctors?
Far be it from me to defend the insurance companies.
Okay.
I got many horror stories for you on that, but this was not one of those things. Because I'll tell you what happened. The attorneys figured out that they could go around malpractice law and sue doctors civilly and criminally for inadequate treatment of pain, for not giving enough opiates. And you will find in the mid-90s, there were multiple suits on doctors successfully executed that put doctors in jail and fined doctors millions of dollars outside of their malpractice for not giving enough oral opiates to a patient. That caused the profession to freeze in place. These are pieces you don't know. I'm going to fill this all in for you. And we all went, I'm not prescribing any more opiates. I'm going to send everything to pain management. The pain management doctors believed they were the saviors and going to eliminate pain in the United States entirely. And pain is whatever the patient says it is, and pain control is whatever the patient says. You don't think my patients went nuts on that, and they were being killed by these people, just constantly. It was Jeff Conway, you talk about celebrity rehab. He was killed by this. It was a horrible chapter. Then I was at an opioid symposium. Oh, poor Jeff. That's another heartbreaking
He's
story.
such a handsome guy. I didn't even realize. I was just watching an episode where he was on Howard Stern's show. Even when he was on drugs and he had that girlfriend that was living, he's still a handsome guy. You just can't believe that
genius.
He could have been so
genius.
successful. Poor drugs ruined.
The guy was a certain kind of genius. He really was. But so the pain management took over everything. They were they just handed out. And if you take the position that pain control is whatever the patient says it is, then you don't need a doctor. So you can have just patients walk up to a counter and say, I want this, I want that, I want this one. And that's in Florida, that's what started happening. And all that flooded the market. Then I was at an opium symposium at the White House it was Trump's first administration, probably 2 years in, and Jeff Sessions came into this room. We were all meeting on this topic, and he said, "You know what? I can take care of this. I'm going to make this thing stop in 3 months." We were all like, "Yeah, sure, Mr. Sessions, of course." He goes, "No. I see how to do this, and I'm going to do it. You watch." And what he did was he put a bunch of doctors in jail for overprescribing of opiates, and it stopped. Then all the doctors who'd been prescribing all these opiates froze in place and stopped prescribing and didn't do anything to help these patients they now had addicted. And those patients all went to heroin.
Yeah.
So There's the story that nobody tells, and I'm here to tell you.
Well, and I think that story really needs to be told more, because now with this fentanyl crisis, people don't even remember that original opioid epidemic. But
that's right.
There's kind of a roundabout thing I want to talk about this. Even though we had a record number of fentanyl deaths, nearly over, I think it was nearly 100,000, we did have over 100,000 deaths attributed to alcohol. So theoretically, alcohol is much more dangerous than fentanyl, yet that's not the narrative that we hear from the mainstream.
Well, so alcohol doesn't typically, you have to work very hard in alcohol to go to the streets. While harder drugs send you to the streets. That's where you end up when you're on meth, when you're on fentanyl, when you're on Zalzine, all these things, you end up on the streets. That's just the nature of the condition. For some reason, people don't want to be indoors. They want to share drugs on the streets, and that's where they find them. Alcohol is something people can do in their home, because alcohol is the one drug we all use and it's endorsed throughout the world. But it is so important to remember alcohol can be devastating, particularly for women. They're more likely to get alcoholic liver disease. So yes, alcohol is a profound problem, and we've left it behind because we're worried about all these other sort of more addictive substances.
And Dr. Drew, I can't imagine you doing a show now, Celebrity Rehab, or even with all the new Delta 8 marijuana. I know you've been in California, but I'm in Texas, a place where marijuana is not legal, yet you can go to every dispensary. And we had a CBD sponsor. I thought this stuff doesn't get you high. This stuff gets you incredibly high, Dr. Drew. I'm not saying that naive. I mean, I'm not a Boy Scout. I've done some stuff, but I hadn't done CBD or Delta 9. I hadn't touched this stuff. I tried some of the sleeping aid. I didn't wake up for nearly 48 hours.
Well, my daughter's in recovery from cannabis addiction, and she always says, if you're doing dabs, you have a problem.
Yeah.
So the cannabis is so concentrated now that it's causing psychoses. So people are, I doubted that cannabis could do that. I don't doubt it anymore, because we see it all the time. And the addictive potential is so much higher because it's a much more powerful drug. In states where it is legal, they've made it nearly 100% concentration of THC in many cases.
And it's not even THC, it's a synthetic THC. We're smoking fake THC. It's insane, the transition to drugs. Did you expect it to be this bad? And what do you foresee the drug culture when you're dead and gone, I'm dead and gone, 30, 40, 50 years from now? What do you kind of see? Because now we got the kids, it's like vaping. You say vaping's bad, but this one I bought online, it has, I got it from Iran, it has vitamin G in it, I think they said.
Well, I've never said vaping was bad.
Oh, you haven't?
I've not said.
Oh, okay, it's
No,
healthy. So vaping's
I
healthy. So now vaping's healthy. So you're endorsing. So Dr. Drew endorses this thing.
Consistently, the most effective way to get off cigarettes is vaping nicotine. That is consistently the best way. And so cigarettes are infinitely worse than vaping. Infinitely.
That is true. Wait,
Nicotine,
but that is true, because, that's kind of a conspiracy. They
Yes.
say, okay, so cigarettes are much worse than vaping. Okay, because,
much worse.
Okay, yeah.
Nicotine is addictive. Otherwise, it's harmless. And vape, I've seen some government data from vaping and sort of effect on lung mucosal linings and things. And I'm persuaded it is not good for you, but it's not nearly as bad as cigarettes. I mean, nowhere near.
Well, that's why my biological stepfather is Tucker Carlson, and we have a great product called Alp, which is a nicotine pouch that goes in your lip. And I'm not recommending anybody do nicotine. I'm sure you aren't either, but at least that one is not as dangerous. Okay, now...
Hold on. Oh. There's some good evidence that nicotine is helpful in long COVID and long vax.
That's what they're saying.
There's therapeutic uses of this stuff, and it's a good appetite suppression. I'm not saying get addicted to nicotine. I'm saying let's not vilify nicotine.
You're right. Okay, now, Dr. Drew, let me ask you a hard question. You're a guy that you've built up so much goodwill, especially before COVID. And at the beginning of COVID, you were just, I think, doing your due diligence. You were saying, hey, trust the science, trust the science. And then shortly, very quickly, I have to give you your kudos. You changed the narrative and you switched real quick. What did that cost you, though, speaking out, considering you're the top TV doctor? Can you tell us the repercussions of you speaking out against the mainstream when it came to the COVID protocols?
It's hard to tell. So at first, I was trying to get everybody to calm down. I was just like, I could see the panic, the delusionality. I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. And what I kept saying was the two things I kind of got wrong. One thing I said was, hey, we just went through an H1N1 epidemic that killed 300,000 people, and you didn't even know that happened. Do we have to now go all the way because of this one to closing everything down? It didn't make sense to me that we had a serious outbreak during the Obama administration, and now we're going to shut the world down for one that may be worse, but how much worse? And what is this shutdown going to do? And it's the opposite of our pandemic preparedness plan. I knew what was in that plan, and we were doing none of it. So I was like, something is really, really wrong. And then I said the thing. So people said around videos of me saying these things they made me look as bad as possible. And they left out the part I tagged on to every single time I made a comment. And it's the part I really got wrong. I said, just listen to the CDC, listen to Dr. Fauci. I know these guys. Let Fauci be your North Star. He'll get us through this. I said that every single time. And that's the thing I got the most wrong.
But to be fair, Fauci was the longest tenured government employee, and he was considered highly respectable and reliable.
I was very active in the AIDS pandemic. I treated hundreds, maybe thousands of AIDS patients. RFK, I know, has very different feelings about this, but he was extremely helpful for me as a practitioner working on AIDS patients. He was a good North Star 35 years ago. Now, didn't work out that way.
Wow. Well, it's crazy to think that you were actually dealing with him during that AIDS epidemic because, they were using that meme a lot, that there were, he did get a lot of heat back then. So, they kind of created the narrative, the conspiracy theorist of me was like, oh, well, he was bad during AIDS. Hearing you say that he was actually pretty good during AIDS, it kind of changed my opinion a little bit. What did he do?
I was there when we opened the first boxes of AZT in LA County.
But wasn't AZT bad? Wasn't that just a backorder drug? Wasn't that not good, Dr. Drew? Or am I too big of a conspiracy theorist?
Let me tell you what it was actually like practicing with AIDS patients. We had nothing. Yeah. We had nothing to offer. All I could do, I was a fourth-year medical student, and every day I was sitting down with a young man and telling him he had 6 months to live. And there was nothing I could do about it. Nothing. Then we had AZT. Now we could extend their life 3 months or 6 months, maybe, while we worked on getting other antivirals together. We could just push it back a little bit. Yes, AZT, when taken excessively, it suppresses the bone marrow. We knew it. It was not a great drug, but it was something. We could do something for these patients. It's the reason we sent people to Dallas Buyers Clubs is because they were doing something, making people feel good. Those same Dallas Buyers Clubs were the ones that were getting in the way of us treating the patients once we had antivirals. People didn't tell that story in the movie.
No, and it kind of makes sense when you're kind of doing fake doctor stuff like that. Obviously, once the real medicine comes into place, nobody's going to trust it. So I can see why that is bad, why they try to, create that narrative you shouldn't do your own research. But I think people should do their own research. Now, Okay, but this is what makes me so frustrated, Dr. Drew. I got to talk about a personal thing. You don't know me that well. You probably don't know me at all. But this is what is so frustrating about COVID is that we've had, you just said this, we've had SARS, sudden acute respiratory syndrome. We've had MERS, Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. So this isn't the first time that we've had a very serious respiratory illness that has been like this. So for me, when they locked us down, my mom got COVID, Dr. Drew, and we said that we didn't want her to be intubated. And what they did is they made us sign a DNR. They gave her remdesivir. My mom died less than 7 days later in my arms. Her lungs filled up with fluid. But my point is, when those doctors, and even though I could be mad at the doctors, I know the doctors didn't care, but I am not a conspiracy theorist when I say this. They wanted more people to die from this because it would make their narrative more true that this was a deadly thing and that there wasn't a 99% survival rate. So I know you're going to say, oh no, but I purposely believe that they were giving remdesivir knowing that remdesivir was not a good remedy for this. And then my mom died in my arms. She went from talking to me, and then 5 days later, she can't even breathe, has not a CPAP, but a BiPAP, whatever it is, not the intubation, the BiPAP machine. And it was like that, and they gave her a drug that I told them not to give her. So I've lost a lot of faith in the medical community, and especially when it came to COVID. I mean, I'm very frustrated.
You should have lost faith. The public health proved itself to be a catastrophe. What happened to my peers, I can't even believe it. The idea of telling somebody to go home and come back when they're blue, I can't even believe the lack of caretaking. The fact that they all responded to centralized authority rather than their ultimate sacred responsibility of just taking care of the person in front of them. It's still an astonishing thing. I talked to Jordan Vaughn just a couple hours ago, and he said he talked to one of his elder teachers. You know, the guy, he went to me, what do you think about the vaccine? I'm not a vaccinologist. Like, what? It was, since when do our on high professors not try to figure things out and just respond to the political winds that are blowing? It's astonishing. And it's disgusting. It's terrible. Now, the doctors that I knew that used remdesivir certainly meant no harm. But they were, I think what you're feeling is, what they were, however, was swept into this political wind where you just followed authority. And
yes, but Dr. Drew,
I
want to tell you, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm saying, when my mom died, those doctors acted like they were sad, but I'm just telling you, they treated it like, oh, I told you so. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. I'm telling you, I don't care what they said. I felt it. Just when palliative care, they're kind of like, oh, this is serious. People are dying. Like, it just reinforced everything. And it just didn't seem like they even wanted to save my mom. And I'm not saying that they killed my mom, even that's how I personally feel. I'm just, I just can't believe that we're going to, and this is going to happen again, Dr. Drew. You know this. So we got a drug epidemic. Now that we got a flu epidemic, our food's making us sick. How do we even, is life expectancy, are we going to make it to 60 in the next 20 years? I mean, is this Gen Z? Are they going to make it to 60 and 70 years old, Dr. Drew?
Yeah, it is gravely concerning. And I've been a supporter of RFK Jr. all the way along. I like that we're shaking things up. The fact that Jay Bhattacharya is the head of the NIH is nothing short of poetic to me. The fact that that's the guy they decided to do a devastating takedown upon tells you everything you need to know about the excesses of what happened during that pandemic and the distorted, extremely distorted authorities that were afoot, and how malicious, and if you want to call them evil and all these things, I don't have a lot of good evidence to the contrary. I don't believe people were actively intending anybody harm, but they got so deep in their groupthink and in their the political winds that blew that they couldn't think objectively. And for the most part, people became what I would call delusional. Mass formation is a real thing. And I watched it in real time, and it was a shocking experience. I thought we finished that in the 20th century. Evidently not. It's a feature of the human experience, and we need to guard against it at all times. And it's still underway. It hasn't all the way settled down yet.
No, it hasn't. And I'm just, it's crazy to think, though, that we are all brainwashed. And you know, we trusted the science, and the science really didn't have our back. Now, okay, we only got you for a couple more minutes. We kind of go through like a rundown of we're going to ask you some tough questions. So, LOVELINE, everybody loves LOVELINE, the most legendary thing. What is the worst call, or kind of what is the most memorable moment from this iconic show that you can remember? Because everybody's talking about LOVELINE, LOVELINE, LOVELINE. Can you give us the biggest LOVELINE memory?
A couple things. People are always at me like, bring LOVELINE back. We should have LOVELINE back. And I actually had a show on Your Mom's House platform, Tom Segura and his wife Christina P's platform, and it was sort of reminiscent of a modern LOVELINE, and it was successful for a little while, and then it sort of burned itself out. And and people kept at me, we need LOVELINE back. And I thought, oh, you don't want LOVELINE back. You want the 90s back. Yeah. You want me and Adam looking like that picture and us sitting in MTV studios when MTV was MTV. You want all that back. You don't get it. It doesn't happen. It's not possible. Sorry. In terms of the most memorable call, people always ask that question. And Adam and I both had to just pick a call one day. We're like, okay, here's the one we're going to use to answer that question. And it's pretty extreme. It was about a guy that had trained his dog to have sex with him.
Yeah, I know. And then the bottle, the spread open hole. Yes, I've heard this story. It's disgusting. Don't even tell that story. Okay, you got to go.
But let me tell you one thing about it. No, it's not that story. It's a different one.
Oh, it's a different one. Okay.
But there's a comedy attached to it. We had a female producer and a female assistant producer and female screeners at the time, and they were furious with this guy. This guy should be killed. He's taking advantage of a helpless animal. This is a horrible human being. And finally, Adam held his hand up. He goes, hey. He goes, now wait a minute. The dog's name was Brutus. He goes, really? Who's got it worse? The dog pulling the sled in the Iditarod or Brutus? Which one's got it worse, you guys? You don't seem to be upset about the Iditarod. That looks pretty extreme to me too. So there was some comedy attached to it.
Well, yeah, I would say so. Okay, now also legendary appearances on the Howard Stern show. I think that was some of your greatest stuff. And there was a little bit of heat, though, and Howard always took your side with Artie Lang. Now Artie, I think they don't know if he's recovered or not. It's kind of a gray area, but I think Artie Lang was one of the greatest comedians. And you said the 90s, the early 2000s, that era, Artie, the Howard Stern show, you were a frequent guest. You did the narcissism test, and Robin scored, an outrageous number. So you were part of some of the most memorable Artie Lang, Howard Stern era. So can you give us kind of, what do you think about Artie and Howard a little bit, and Robin, if you don't mind?
Okay, so I love them all. I love Artie. You mentioned Tom Sizemore. It's funny. Artie kind of goes in the same place in my heart as Tom. And I was involved with him a little bit when he was struggling. I was sort of peripherally trying to help him out. He has had long-term sobriety. I don't know what's going on right at the moment. I haven't had contact in a while, but he had been doing very, very, very well. And when he doesn't do well, he is dangerously, he knows it. He's a dangerous dude to himself. But he is brilliant. He's another genius. He's like Tom, another genius. And if anything were ever to happen to him, it would just be, it's just terrible that that people get sick and die of these mental health illnesses. That when it happens, it just kills me. But they're dangerous, and it's a worthy reminder that mental health conditions are potentially fatal.
But Dr. Drew, let me stop you though right there. And I know you're a big proponent of medication, but the SSRI, this is what I'm confused. If you have a person that says I'm depressed and I'm having thoughts of suicide, why do we give them a medication where suicidal thoughts is a side effect of that medication when we know it's a mental health issue? And I'm not a doctor, but isn't the best fix for mental health being in good shape and diet and exercise? Isn't that what the real cure is just being healthy? Isn't that the best thing?
Yes, there's more to it than that, and having meaning in life, having a spiritual landscape, having important relationships. Yes, yes, and yes. Sometimes people get sick, brains get sick. And when they do get sick, done well, we can help them. The problem is we have this very strange phenomenon in this country where we both undertreat and overtreat. The excessive use of SSRIs by primary caretakers, profoundly concerning to me. The primary care doctors are listen, I spent 30 years working in a psychiatric hospital. I thought I knew something about psychiatry as a primary caretaker. I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything. And the fact is that primary care people are not trained to do that. Even 30 years working in a psych hospital, I always get my psychiatric consultants involved so people get proper care if there's an illness that is impairing functioning. Back to your original comments, ordinary misery is a good thing. We need to lean into it. We need to develop self-efficacy and resiliency and the ability to regulate. It's a good thing, but brains do get sick, and trying to know that difference and when something else needs to be done, that's a really high level skill. And we're just prone to giving meds, and that's not good.
Yeah, and I just saw an Andrew Huberman thing. He talks about the amygdala. When you challenge yourself and you put yourself through tough times, your body starts to reward itself once you do these challenges and you complete the challenges. So your body actually trains itself to do challenges. So if you don't challenge yourself, you don't go through misery, tough stuff, you're not going to be able to do it ever in the future.
The worst thing for mental health is a safe space.
Wow.
It's the worst thing. We do exposure therapy now. We don't hide from the things that disturb us. We lean in.
Yes, sir.
That's how you develop the capacity and the resiliency.
Okay, almost last question. Alzheimer's, is that type 3 diabetes? Yes or no? That's the new thing.
I mean, I know what they're talking about when they say that. That's a little just so.
Okay,
no,
that's
no.
That's anecdotal. That's just so. Okay.
It's
now,
just so to say that. I mean, yes, insulin resistance and obesity and the inflammatory, central obesity and high levels, all that will contribute to dementia. But Alzheimer's is a specific phenomenon that we still don't really know exactly what it is.
Okay, now my personal question, and then we're going to let you go. I've been dieting, gaining, and I'm actually down right now. I'm down about 30 pounds. I've been very, very strict.
Yeah.
I can tell that I'm getting a little adrenal fatigue. I don't know how, but I'm reading all this stuff. Isn't the yo-yo me going up and down, isn't that worse than almost being fat? Is that true, Dr. Drew?
Not so long as you're exercising, I would say.
I am exercising, yes, sir, every day. And this is what I've yeah, so I should be okay.
Do the best you can. Just do the best you can. Do really. I mean, if you keep it up most of the time, you will be better than if you just leave it be. I mean, that doesn't. Of course, you can do better by losing the weight, even if you can't keep it off all the time.
And Dr. Drew, you know, I'm a conservative, but I get a lot of heat from this. I don't eat meat. I'm a vegetarian. I do eat eggs. I do eat cheese.
Look at you.
I know, but they call me a soy boy. Is it bad that I'm eating this? So they do. My breasts aren't bigger, but I'm saying I'm eating so much soy, they say that causes estrogen. Am I going to get big, large female breasts?
No. Well, I mean, there is a certain amount of estrogenicity from soy for sure. I don't like soybean oil. I don't mind soy. Look, there are plenty of people that advocate. Tulsi Gabbard is a strict vegetarian.
Yeah.
I had dinner with her one night, and she was strict, and she looks great, and it looks healthy, and so you can do it well.
Okay, and then last question, is Gary Busey the craziest person that you've dealt with? I love Gary Busey, but is he that wildest guy? I think he is, just from the outside looking in. He's not, Dr. Drew?
I've dealt with really, really wild people, but on that show, he had a severe motorcycle accident, and he essentially had a frontal lobotomy. He crushed the frontal lobes of his brain. And interestingly, back in the day, they used to treat addiction with frontal lobotomies. And his addiction had been much less severe since he had that motorcycle accident.
Wow. Well, Dr. Drew, and this is the last. I'm of the opinion that if transgenders should be in women's sports because we can gamble on them and win money. So do you agree with that? Do you think that transgenders should be in women's sports, yes or no?
I don't have a strong opinion.
Okay, good. All right, love you, Dr. Drew. How can people find you and support you before you go? Everybody knows who you are, but how can people support you, Dr. Drew?
drdrew.com. I do a streaming show Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2 o'clock Pacific. It's been very interesting. It started during COVID, and I've been talking to all the people that got canceled, like Bhattacharya and McCullough and all these people, and we've sort of broadened out. We'll bring Alex. Alex, you need to come on the
Yes,
show.
Dr. Drew, please. And you have those crazy doctors on. I'm surprised YouTube hasn't kicked you off, and I do want to applaud you.
Trust me, I got canceled. I got back on. We still have trouble with YouTube. We still do. And Facebook, we can't even manage. It's
But
just
Dr.
like
Drew, you
ridiculous.
should be applauded because you're a guy that could have been like Sanjay Gupta and been a CNN shill, and Gupta was a shill, and I know offense, you might be friends with Sanjay, but he went up there and argued with Joe Rogan, looked like an idiot, called him a horse pace guy, and you look right, and he looks like an idiot. So I want to applaud you for actually sticking with your integrity and your Hippocratic oath and actually trying to help people. So thank you, Dr. Drew, for that, and the American people appreciate it.
Great to talk to you.
All right, peace. See you, Dr. Drew. All right, guys, everybody go support Dr. Drew. What a great guy. I thought that was great. Jimmy, what did you think?
That was awesome. I'm surprised how much he talked about his experience with Dr. Fauci and how he thought Dr. Fauci did great in the AIDS epidemic. So that was pretty interesting. We got a ton of super chats. I didn't want to interrupt that great discussion.
How many did we get?
We got 3 $50 super chats and a bunch of $20 ones. So I'll just read them by the biggest. So Clyde TR Rubs, $50 super chat. Alex Stein is doing God's work. And then he also said, pimp on a blimp, flies over flat ground, hashtag Bubba Army.
And now Brandon is coming on set with the gloves like you're going to give me a prostate exam. Is this the joke?
You want to do it? You want to do it yourself?
Yeah, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. But we didn't ask Dr. Drew what to feel for. He said, I think
The little nodule is the key.
Is that how you do it, Jimmy? You would know. And I wanted to ask him so much stuff. I forgot to ask him about gay conversion therapy, whether it works or not.
We can have him on again.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to come right on. Yeah, I mean, but we're so lucky that we had him. Thank you, Dr. Drew. Okay, I'm going to give myself this test while I do a rap. Jimmy, what else do we need to
there's a couple other. KIR Ammo gave 2 $50 super chats.
KIR Ammo, thank you so much. This finger's for you, KIR Ammo.
Dr. Drew, who was running the country while Biden was mentally impaired.
Jimmy, what is it supposed to feel like?
You're supposed to feel, if you feel a little bump inside.
I'm feeling a lot of bumps. I'm not even kidding. I'm feeling like multiple round bumps.
Oh, that's not good. Is Dr. Drew still on?
I don't know.
Oh, he left.
Text him.
Okay, I'll shoot him a text.
That's stinky. All right, guys, that's been our show. Thank you guys for watching. It's Primetime 99. What do we got next week? Who's on the show next week? Remind me.
Next week we
have
Armando in studio, and we have a Bella Glanville. She is in the new Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, we have an actress in the new Mission Impossible movie who supposedly had a romantic interaction with Tom Cruise. So you guys get to find out.
And then we got Craig Skistimas in studio.
What
And
is that?
oh,
That's my favorite bird.
and then the poll we started at the beginning of the show. It's
What did they say?
50-50. Should Armando stay? It's 50-50.
See, I told Mando last night, I was like, dude, I don't know if we're going to be able to raise enough money to keep you here. He's like, yeah, I don't know if you are either. So, guys, we'll see on Monday or Tuesday, excuse me. If you guys want to keep Mando, we can keep Mando. All right, we end the show the same way every time with the freestyle finale. So, you know it's Thursday. What are you going to say? I'm going to hit that vape. Let me see that music. Freestyle finale. Sitting at my desk, being real chill. Hitting that vape while I chill. On a pill. Made a meal, Dr. Drew, he was on the screen. And I hit my vape like a machine, like a smoke machine. I'm blowing smoke. I don't give a damn. Tom Sizemore does coke. All right, guys, I'm not rapping anymore. The show's over. I got to go on Sky News. Make sure to tune into Sky News, guys. I'll see you next Tuesday. Peace. Good night.